What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the podcast, the new and experienced investor podcast. This is the real estate podcast that brings investors from all walks of life together. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Alex Barnett. I'm the new guy.
And I'm Joe Holmes, and that makes me the experienced guy.
It sure does. We had somebody in here one time that was less experienced. Remember when we had John? When you were gone, we had John as the host.
Oh, yeah.
Then there was just two new guys.
That was like the comedy guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was on a cruise. I was actually watching it. Yeah.
It got wild. I hope Lorraine wasn't watching it.
Yeah, no.
Okay, good.
Yeah, Alex goes off the rails when Joe's gone.
It was weird. We didn't really talk about. I tried to keep it on real estate, but it was all over the place.
It was.
But never leave, please. Is all I'm asking.
And producer's back. Welcome back.
I'm back. Thank you.
Yeah.
Glad she's feeling better. Manning the buttons, womaning the buttons. She's not manning the buttons.
That's right.
Okay, very good. We have
the rumors are not true.
They're not true.
They're not true.
Not true yet. Yeah.
Okay.
Joe's making up his own rumors.
I try.
We have an amazing guest in studio today. We're super pumped. We're going to be talking all about commercial real estate. We're going to be talking about what it's like to live in the United States from another country. We're going to be talking about multifamily. We're going to be talking about getting rich with real estate.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but before we bring her in, let's talk about our meetup coming up. September-ish.
September-ish.
Yeah. September.
Hangar 24, 6 o'clock.
23rd. September 23rd.
September 23rd. Hangar 24, 6 o'clock. Be there.
Yep.
We have no idea who's speaking yet.
Yeah, TBD. We have a few people lined up.
We'll find out
Yeah.
who's speaking, and then we'll broadcast that out to everybody. And
Yeah.
then obviously next week we'll talk about it as well. So we need to pick somebody in the next week.
Yes. We will announce on the next show who it's going to be. You're going to be very excited because you're going to learn a lot because we bring in some heavy hitters.
Heavy hitters, yes.
It's amazing.
Heavy hitters.
So, anywho, let's stop dilly-dallying around. Let's jump on into it. Let's bring in Anna Murphy. How you doing?
Hi, good.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Excellent. So go ahead, introduce yourself. What were you doing before real estate? What got you into it? And how's it going now?
Sure. Well, I guess it's been a little while. I got into real estate about 20 years ago in Canada, and I've been down here in the U.S. since June. I have a Canadian company, PIR Commercial, and a U.S. LLC, PIR Investment Management.
Amazing. Okay, so you're all commercial.
Mostly commercial.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. How'd you get into that?
Well, I actually started in residential.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
For many years. And my business kind of brought me towards commercial. And then I had kind of different clients that wanted to help them kind of like introduce capital sources to them for their larger commercial real estate projects. So I got started getting involved in development, different asset classes.
Okay.
And basically I had clients that wanted exposure to the US, and that kind of brought me down here.
Excellent. Are there any buildings that I would recognize
Sure. Yeah.
that you developed?
Different apartment buildings.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
definitely. There's, I guess in Canada.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Okay.
Mostly in Nova Scotia. On the east coast of Canada.
Love that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's where you grew up.
That's where I grew up.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now you're in 101 degree heat.
Now I'm dying of heat.
Okay, got you. Hope you got what you wanted.
You caught us on a bad week. It's not like this all
very
the time.
hot here.
Yeah. You caught us on a bad week.
Yeah. So what's that like bringing your business from Canada to the U.S.? Do you have some of the same connections, or do you have to? Is it all new, like networking, or how's that work?
It's it's the same, but it's different. So back home, there's developers are mostly kind of like high net worth individuals that are building their own buildings, and kind of like as you move to different parts of Canada, like Toronto as an example is a big market. So it's more like institutional capital in the larger markets. In the US, it's a lot of times like on the development side, it's national apartment developers So it's less kind of high net worth, from what I've seen or experienced.
Right.
And it's a little bit more organized than it is in Canada. So there's a lot more kind of that detail that's disclosed, or that, is more commonly accounted for. And then kind of like sliding those, that capital into that, formula or
Right.
capital stack. It becomes a little bit more of kind of like, puzzle piece, but,
Right.
Having that capital stack kind of come together a little bit differently.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And go ahead.
What is your role in all of this? Do you set up a syndication? You go look at the property? What exactly do you do?
Yeah. So over the years, my role has changed a little bit. So originally I started off kind of like in a place of brokerage. And I am getting my license here in the US. I'm just finalizing some of that detail. But then, I started moving more in towards consulting and sort of, on the money side, just, ensuring that clients, had what they needed to be able to kind of break ground and get the project completed. So that kind of brought me into different asset classes. So whether it be senior living or apartments or hotels, kind of like brought me into various asset classes. As I'm sure you all know, different investors have different appetites or different, ways that they like to invest. So it just kind of, allowed me to kind of expand my client base. So down here, I still have the company in Canada, the consulting company. I have clients a lot of times, either investors or the developer will come to me and, I'll look at their capital stack. They'll engage my services, and then I'll help to kind of fill in, or provide some guidance on, where to go from, the current status. My investment management company in California, the purpose of that is actually to manage a REIT that I'm going to be launching that's coming up.
Nice.
So the companies kind of complement each other. Yeah. Thank you.
What's a capital stack?
Yeah. So basically it's kind of like how the cookie crumbles when you're doing your money stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So, in any, let's say it's your acquisition, you're going to go, you're going to buy an asset. Let's say it's $1 million asset. Mm-hmm. Maybe you decide it makes sense. Maybe you don't have $1 million.
Right.
Maybe you have, how much money do you want to have?
I'm going to have 300,000.
300,000. Okay. So you're easy
Well, I'm gonna
peasy.
see how she
No, that's
stacks
pretty
it
good.
up. Yeah, I want to see how the
Come on.
stack goes. I'm going to, okay.
300 million. What's the difference?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, I thought she was going to stack
No,
it
that was
up to
good.
the
No, I thought that was
million.
good. That was a good example. No, that was a good. That was a good example.
Okay.
It really was. Yeah. So in that particular example, you'd probably go to the bank and get a 70% mortgage, right? Because if it's $1 million, you have a 30% down payment. The bank's going to look at that and say, yes, we're going to give you a 70% of the money, as long as some other criteria in there, like some boxes are checked, and maybe it's a cash flowing asset, so the income supports the debt, or
Nice.
the business plan supports everything. So it would be likely that you'd get your first mortgage loan at 70% of the value. Right. But let's say you told me less than that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like where I would come in, and we would talk and strategize as to how we're going to come up with, or what strategically makes the amount of sense to fill in that 30%. Mm-hmm. Maybe you only have 5, maybe you only have 10, right? So essentially the value that I would bring is kind of filling that in. Yeah.
By getting like other investors to look at it and
Exactly.
be like private money or something like that.
Yeah. So depending upon like what the asset was, or where it was, or who you are, all of those different factors would influence, who would be the most appropriate, party that would partner.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What's the hottest thing going on right now in commercial?
I don't know. The hottest thing? I think cash. Cold hard cash.
Yeah. Who's got it, people?
I know if you own big commercial buildings that you were traditionally leasing out to clients, that's going away. you know?
Yeah. So the vacancy rate, so it's interesting because Canada and the US, the moment interest, like a few years ago now, right? The moment interest rates went up, the market softened, like Canada, US, everywhere, right? So now we're seeing, interest rates start to kind of move a little bit. It's a kind of
That's
a
what they say.
breaking time of, Cookie's gonna, something's gonna happen at some point, right? So, the timing is definitely at the point now where, we're just many people for a long time have been just by the sidelines. And so, I think the next 12 months, I think that it's a really good time to, have quite a bit of liquidity. And I think, my personal opinion is that, I think now is a pretty good time to move with cash, and maybe take advantage of some of that softness.
Right.
My personal opinion. Yeah.
I
There's a big
like
wall
it.
of debt
Well,
coming
that's
due.
That's
And
kind of my question is, if you do have cash, you want to look for opportunities. What opportunities are there going to be?
yeah, I would say I personally think that that money talks. So I guess it just depends on how much money you have at your disposal. I'm open to some further discussion on that, but I think that I've seen I saw a transaction go down in the last 2 weeks where it was a 25% discount. I forget exactly the size. It was a significant transaction, but it was a 25% discount on assets. But this is the multifamily side. 25% discount on their acquisition price from 2020. So it was
that's
interesting.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I've been hearing too. It's like, I hear 50%, 60%.
Well, it was more of a higher profile transaction, and I'm sure they were probably happy to see it go. So, I believe that trend will continue.
Was this a seller that was selling it, or was it already bank owned?
It was bank. It was bank. Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know if the bank was the only party that owned it or if there were other people kind of in the mix. Yeah.
So do you have like a pool of those type of properties or leads that you focus on, or you don't even do that?
So I want to say yes to that. I'm working right now on some of that. And as part of like my fundraising with the REIT, essentially, I think that, gathering all those funds into the account to show, I think that that's valuable, right? Because I think, if you're ready to cut a check and close the deal, I think that, that goes a long ways, right? With some of these larger portfolios, large assets and large portfolios, right? Because there's only so many parties that, are capable of, doing those deals. But then kind of like in addition to that, on the construction side as an example, right? Like, I haven't seen, and a lot of what I've done over the last number of years has been development. So I haven't actually had a deal sent to me that pencils out in a while, in a long while, so, there's buildings that are under construction where they're, maybe they're partly leased or not even leased yet, where they're, either not getting their last draw from the bank or, the bank's kind of like knocking down the door. There's a lot of different things kind of going on in the market. And I think, we're seeing a tiny bit of movement in the interest rates. I think, there's not much, but I think there's, some response to, what's happening.
Yeah.
What about senior living, long-term care facilities? Are you seeing a lot more of that activity pop up?
I would love to be sent land for senior family in the state of California. Yeah, I would love to see lots of land for that.
There's a lot of land out in the desert.
Yeah?
Yeah, lots of land out there.
Very hot.
It's
Very
hotter than
Very
here.
dusty.
They like it hot.
They do like it hot. Yeah, their bones get cold. Yeah.
My
We
dad,
gotcha.
when he was alive, he was living here,
Yeah.
and it'd be like it is now, 90 degrees, and I'd walk in, and he'd have the heater on in the house
Yeah.
to 80 degrees.
I know.
What the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
No, it's like
cold.
120 or more in there. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it's hot.
like
It's hot.
you definitely need
But
the
you're
AC.
totally right. Yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of what Hemet is. It's like older folks and tweakers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tweakers.
Yeah, that's kind of an odd mix, but
Yeah.
I'd love to see land like in different markets, right? Like it's not going to be just like, you know, I was on a call just a couple of days ago and it was with, you know, someone that's trying to sell me insurance policy. So it's insurance with a cash component, you know, but they, as part of their presentation, they're going and talking about, you know, there's now, I think it's under review. I don't think it's a passed bill yet, but basically everyone's going to be required to have this kind of like old age living benefit insurance. So, you know, it is interesting because, you know, the average age here, like if I'm from Canada, like the average age there is, I don't know what it is, but it's a lot older than it is here.
oh yeah. All right.
But, you know,
Is that a problem?
oh my God. Yeah. But there's so many more people down here.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, okay, well, you know, it is an aging population, you know, like I was, we were at R&D Kitchen for lunch a couple weeks ago. And I was having this conversation with an architect, similar conversation. And he was kind of like looking around the bar, you know, and it was like, he was like saying that like the clientele that are going to go in these senior facilities, they're all like sitting around.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
Yeah. I mean,
But
they gotta go
I'd love to
somewhere.
find some land in Newport, right?
Oh,
Like,
right. Yeah.
you know, because, you know, on the senior family side, it's an operating business. It's like a hotel, you know, apartments. It's like, you know, vacancy. You're in, you're out.
I
You know,
know.
there's not a lot of like movement in terms of your income necessarily, right?
Yeah.
There's only a few factors. Where with senior housing or senior living or some of these like special care facilities, you know, it's an operating business in
Yeah.
the building. It's not just, you know, your apartment rents as an example. Like it fluctuates
Yeah.
a lot differently.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like all the seniors in Newport just have the giant houses, and
but
then
they
it's
can't
like,
stay there forever.
well, I know, but the kids are like, "We'll take care of you at the end." Mom, give me
Yeah.
the Lido house.
I'm not too old to be adopted.
But yeah, that would be a good spot.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'd be a lot of people
Yeah,
that would.
I think so
get
too.
into that,
Yeah, it's just
but
find
you
some
got to
land.
pay like 20 mil for it, probably. But
Yeah, you need some land that's like well priced,
I know.
decent
long-
size,
How long does a project like that take? Like,
forever.
yeah. Well, give me a better forever.
Yeah,
Like 10 years, 3 years, 2 years.
yeah. It really depends on a lot of different factors. If the zoning's in place, that makes a big difference, right? Like it's you know, if the zoning's not in place, that's another 2 to 4 years. If the zoning is in place, you know, maybe you know, it can be 6 months to a year. You know, but are the drawings, you know, there's lots of, you know, is all that ready? Or has the previous owner done all of these things and you're just taking over someone's project because it's like permit ready to go?
Yeah.
Or are you doing everything? You know?
Are these Canadian time frames or? Because I don't think you've dealt
It's
with
in metrics,
California.
I think.
You
yeah.
know,
California, you can double everything you just said.
Oh yeah.
No, you know what? Development, like I have spent a good amount of time in a number of different markets on the development side. And, you know, it's kind of the same everywhere and everyone just complains about it because it is painstakingly long, you know, and there are all of these delays. And then there's this like stupid thing, excuse my language, stupid thing that happens to tie it up. And then there's another thing that's like just this ridiculous detail that like seems super insignificant that like adds another 6 months or, you know, so they do take, you know, and you need, there's a number of different parties that all need to kind of like agree, you know, that this is a good idea and that, you know, and hopefully the market doesn't change in there, you know, somewhere or, you know, vacancy. Like there's a lot of different factors that go into having a successful project off the ground, leased up or, you know, stabilized.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I think, you know, on the development side, since, you know, a number of different asset classes since COVID have really, you know, seen that change, you know, that risk because prior to COVID, you know, development returns were, you know, somewhere between, in a lot of cases, 18 to 30% annual IRRs. And now, you know, we're not seeing deals pencil. So that basically that return has disappeared. right? So it's one of those things where, maybe it's a good time to invest in an asset that is already generating capital because it's a little bit, there's less risk involved. You know what you're getting yourself into, because there's less factors that are going to change. So that goes back to the comment I made about paying cash for something right now, because, if you pay cash for something and you don't have debt on something, your interest rate isn't going to change. You're not going to, you have more control over your investment going into it.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from when I say that. That makes sense.
Yeah. It's like everyone, when the rates were low, everyone wanted to get super leveraged.
Yeah. Great time.
And then once they popped up even a couple points, they're like, wait, this doesn't work anymore.
This is a terrible idea.
Yeah. Okay. Crazy.
Yeah.
Where are you in the, let's say it's like a development deal. Where are you like getting paid, I guess?
Yeah. So normally I have.
Is that appropriate or is that fine?
No, it's fine.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just saying it always comes down to money. It's like, that's the money question. Go ahead. Yes, please answer.
Yeah. Normally it's kind of like a flat fee or consulting.
Okay.
Yeah. Some sort of consulting fee.
It's a consulting fee for somebody that wants to develop, or is it a consulting fee for somebody who has the cash that wants to put it into something?
Yeah. I'm normally in like 80% or more cases, I am with the developer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that's kind of where my business has brought me to.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So what does actual consulting in that case look like? I mean, you get up in the morning and you jump on Facebook or something and you say, here, look, I'm working with this builder. What is it that you do?
Sure. Yeah. So most of my business is actually referrals. So I'll have, any number of different like parties to a transaction. Maybe they have an architect or maybe they have, other people, other consultants that are helping them that'll bring me in. And then they'll, ask for me to look at, maybe they have a financial model in their budget. So I'll take a look at that. And then normally I'll get engaged at that point if I feel like I can be of help. And then provide, once I have an agreement in place, depending upon, where we go, what type of project it is and where we need to get to, essentially my agreement will be specific to kind of the goals of, if it's a portfolio or if it's single asset or if it's development or acquisition or, just depending upon what it is, I'll tailor and do a custom agreement based on, what the needs are or where I feel, where I can be of most value.
Okay. So you're working with a lot of numbers. So you're good at numbers.
Kind of good at numbers.
You
Yeah.
like numbers?
So I've always been good at math. So
Really?
Yeah.
That's unusual. But we're not going to go there because I'm going to get bashed if I say something. Yeah. Okay, so that's awesome. So you're looking at this portfolio, you're looking at these numbers and stuff. Mm-hmm. Do you base your, income on? I see that you're spending $100 million here. I can get it down to $90 million. Is that kind of what you're doing, or no?
No.
Okay.
No.
So you're looking at all these numbers. But
Yeah.
What are you consulting with them about these numbers? That they're reasonable, that they look good?
How to get to the number to do
How
the
to
thing.
How to kind of get to the finish line and kind of the best strategy to get there. So without kind of like giving the key in the hole, right? Like essentially, that's exactly what I do. Essentially. So a lot of times, it's that teeny little detail that someone needs to know that they don't necessarily know.
What is a teeny?
Oh, I can't
detail.
give that away.
Oh.
What is it? It's like, I can save you money here would be, I'm an investor. That's what I want to hear.
Right.
I mean, I don't, if you came in and I had $100 million portfolio, if you came in and said, we could do this for 90 or 900,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
I'd hire you.
You're talking about an acquisition?
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to repeat what back to.
Figure your job out.
Okay.
What it is. What exactly is it?
Okay.
Why
so who
am
are
I hiring you?
Tell me who you are and what you own.
Well, why am I hiring you? Okay. I'm
right. But I'm tied to. Yeah. Tell me what. Okay.
I'm going to build a senior community.
Okay.
because they're the only ones that have money right now. So why not cater to them?
Right. Have you done this before?
Yeah.
You've done it before. How many assets do you own right now?
1,000.
1,000.
1,000
that's
units.
A lot. That's
1,000 units.
1,000 doors.
Doors, yes.
How many
1,000
buildings?
doors. Oh, buildings. Okay, that's a better question. I have 3 buildings and,
Manhattan.
That's not a good example.
Oh, okay.
I have a community of 500 homes. They're all
Okay,
seniors.
wait. Okay, hold on. We're switching the scenario here. Okay, so we went from no buildings. We have now a single family.
Yes.
55 or older community.
Yeah, but that's more residential, right? Kind of a residential play.
Every time you change the shape of the building or the size of the lot or the type of specific property, the scenario changes. The investor changes every time.
And your fees change. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you come up with a scenario and then explain to me how you would consult on that.
Yeah. Okay. So do you have like an asset class that you like is your go-to? What's your bread and butter?
Again, we're the baby boomers are getting old and they're retiring, and I think we're going to have to start figuring out where we're going to,
I love this example.
safely put these people.
I love this example.
To take care of them.
Okay.
If not in Newport Beach at Alex's house,
Yeah, that's fine. Dana Point.
they'll
I love
get
it.
a place down there, and then they'll have like a little casita for me.
Right.
Right.
The ADR in the back.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess more of a mass scale.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
I love this.
type facility.
Yeah. And you own, let's keep your original example.
Okay.
Let's say you own 1,000 doors,
Okay.
but let's call them beds. 1,000 beds.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
And let's say it's in 3 buildings.
Okay.
So you have 3 buildings. So that's roughly 333 beds each building.
Okay.
Right? Maybe they're on the same lot. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So that's what you own right now. And you want to develop more.
Yeah.
So do you have debt on these or you don't have debt on these? Do you own everything outright or do you have
I own
partners?
everything.
You own everything. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Jeez. Lucky you.
Yeah.
You're so
I'm
low.
old.
Generational wealth. Yeah.
I'm old.
Yeah.
I'm old.
Okay. All right. So that you're in a great position. Most people aren't in your position. Most people are like leveraged to the hilts.
That's
Like
me.
everybody.
Yeah, that's what I
No,
wanna
that's
do.
everybody.
Okay.
Like there's very few people that are in your position.
Okay.
Like almost no one. Like
Joe loves to hear
1%
that.
of people. Okay.
Okay.
So how many more do you want to develop?
I want to double it.
You want to double it. Okay. So you
Yeah.
need 3 more buildings. Do you have the land?
Yeah, right next door.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So you right next door.
I
So
just want to expand what I have.
okay.
And I want to consult you whether I should keep it in 3 buildings, make more buildings, make less.
Yeah.
What would you suggest?
Right. So do you have the money to build the next 3 buildings or
Yeah.
you need it?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I probably wouldn't consult with you because you already have the money
no.
and you've already
Okay,
done
I
it
don't
all.
have it anymore. Alex
see.
and
See,
Lauren
you
took it.
you had too much, you got it all figured out.
Yeah.
You don't need any help. Right.
Okay, true. Okay, but
You don't want partners.
True.
okay,
You want,
we're stepping back. Okay.
Okay, look at his shirt. He just got back from Vegas. He lost it all on black.
I lost it. I only have half the money now.
okay.
Okay.
So you have 50% of the money.
Yes.
So, okay. Do you have a construction budget?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a builder?
Yes.
Okay. So they provide you a construction budget. You have a builder. You have 50% of the money. Have you been to your bank?
Yes.
And what did your bank say?
We're not going to loan you any money.
Why?
I think they're a mean bank. Yeah, I don't know.
He has a
TI.
gambling problem.
Have you tried a different bank?
I like that response
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
I can tell you don't give up very easily by just listening to that response.
Yeah.
I went to another bank, and they said they would give me up to 60% of the total build. I
Okay.
have 50.
Yeah.
So they would give me 10 more.
Okay. And why didn't you want to take another 10% so you could have more liquidity?
I could, but don't I need more than that to finish this project?
You told me you had 50% of the money and that they want to give you a 60% loan. So they're giving you more money than you need.
No. I'm sorry. I have 50%. They're willing to give me another 10. So now I would have 60%.
Okay, wait, back it up. Because you're confusing me.
You're the numbers girl here.
Okay, you said you had 50% of the money, cash. So if the bank's going to put you at 60% leverage, they're getting you a loan for...
No. They're going to just give me 10.
10 what?
%.
10% of the money.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well, there's a problem with your capital stack. There's a problem with your income. So if you wanted to hire me, we could look at that. But if they're only giving you 10%, that's part of a bigger problem.
Okay.
Because it means that your income for your operating business is shit or there's something wrong. Right? Like if you could be looking at your operating business on the other side and, like it's fine. So let's go back to let's go back to your assets that you own. Cause I didn't ask you these questions, which are relevant questions. So you own the asset outright, but there's an operating business that's on the real estate, right? Mm-hmm. So out of those 1,000 beds that you have, there's going to be staff. There's a whole operating business inside the building, which costs money, right? And there's a whole operating business in there that, potentially has revenue. If the beds are empty, there's zero revenue and just expenses, right? If the business is doing well, obviously there's income there. So there's income and expenses. So that would influence, a decision if you were looking to essentially recapitalize those assets. We would look at the operating business. Right. And so if well, I assumed it was doing good, but I didn't actually ask enough questions to,
Now she's getting to the...
Well, I figured if you own the asset outright that you had your shit together. That was an assumption I made,
Yeah, see, you said I had my shit together, but everybody else doesn't have their shit together.
Right.
Yeah.
But you didn't ask the right question there.
Well, yeah, I did make an assumption there on the spot. I did. Okay. Yeah. But on the other side of it...
Was it because of my shirt or what? Okay.
No, you didn't need the money there. Right. That wasn't where the need was. So I assumed you were good, but it took going over here to look at what was going on to realize, oh, there is actually something bad going on over here. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So sometimes it takes, diving a little deeper to really look at that.
How do you consult with me and fix my problem?
Yeah, well, you would engage my services, and then I would kind of go through some of, it may be inside or outside of the scope of what I can actually help with, but then I would kind of point these things out and point you in the right direction of people that could help you. Because I don't actually have an operating business, but I have several, parties that would buy your 3 buildings. Or possibly partner with you to recapitalize that.
Deal.
I don't know if it's wholesaler.
She's trying to get a wholesale deal going here. Okay.
There's always someone to buy.
Those would be that would be the type of asset that would be quite attractive. We haven't really talked about the value, the price, but that would check a few boxes on the type of asset that would be quite attractive on an acquisition basis. Right. And sometimes people like to buy things with hair, right? Something that's when someone says when you buy something with hair, it means kind of messy financial situation. Right. Which sounds like
a Canadian thing?
I think it might be. I don't know.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
You really have never heard that before with hair? Yeah.
Hair.
Messy financial, just a little all over the place. Okay. Financial, in the financial stuff.
What other Canadian words can you throw
I don't
at
know.
us?
Out and about?
Out and about.
Or
Looney,
scats.
toonies.
I cruise a lot, and there's Canadians that cruise a lot.
Okay, cool.
They're the nicest people in the world. They
yeah,
really are.
thanks.
Nicest, super nice people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you ever want to be in a crowd of old people, just take a cruise.
Where do you like to go?
Up and down the coast here.
Oh, nice.
You know.
To Hawaii? Do you get to Hawaii?
I don't go to Hawaii because that's like 5 days on the sea, and it's like I get bored at half a day on the sea.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I like
you
going
go
from
San
port to
Francisco.
port. San Francisco, Seattle, Alaska, down to Mexico.
Wow.
All
Cool.
that. With all the old people too.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You know, when you start to talk to them, and it's like if you take like a Mediterranean cruise. I know we're off topic, but if you take a Mediterranean cruise or something,
Yeah.
and I'm getting older, you know, maybe 20 years ago, we used to run into people that were in concentration camps,
Oh, wow.
and we would talk to them, and it's like, oh wow, is an expression. These people would tell us, like, you know, the Germans were right behind us, and we hid in a barn. Me and my brother hid in a barn. Next day we woke up, and the Germans were right there. I kept hiding, and they took my brother, and I've never seen him again.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like,
Whoa.
Wow.
oh my God, let's move on to dessert.
Yeah.
You know? It's like,
Wow.
wow. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Crazy.
anyways, back to real estate.
Yeah.
Back to real estate.
Okay. Nice. If you guys have any questions for Anna, drop them in the comments, and we'll get your questions answered. We had a guy on last week. He was saying multifamily is a little shaky right now just because of all the debt that's owed. What would you say to that?
Yeah, I would say that he's right on the money.
Okay.
Yeah, and just depending on like what class of asset it is. So Class A would be like new or newer buildings. Class B or Class C. You know, like I've had, you know, a number of different folks that have, you know, tried to get like the preferred equity play going. I don't know if you guys have seen that or not. So it's, you know, coming into portfolio that maybe it's like 1,000 units, 700 to 1,000 units, and have like existing investors in the mix. And so their strategy, you know, because they're upside down, they're paying out, they're bleeding basically. They're paying out a lot more money every month than they're bringing in. So essentially their strategy is to bring in new money and to offer those investors like a preferred return. So maybe an investor might think, you know, 8%, kind of like from the get-go, you know, instead of 8%, maybe they're offering them 16%. So they're the first to get paid, essentially, like when the asset is sold.
All right.
So that's been a strategy that I've seen, you know, but the asset, you know, hasn't sold yet. We're still kind of like, you know, everything's still, you know, in a, you know, and I think a lot of people, you know, want to call it like a holding period. Not much really has transacted in the last few years. So, you know, kind of like a lot of people have been waiting to see, you know, what's going to happen. You know, but those people, you know, in that particular case, you know, they've had their insurance prices go up 20%, you know, so they bought, you know, with the intention to, you know, kind of rent eviction, you know, to basically to improve the property. So, you know, I think maybe it was a C or a low B when they acquired. And so the plan was to, you know, put money into the assets and then change the tenants. And so, you know, this was all during COVID. So they had problems getting people out. You know, then, you know, they've had vacancy problems, you know, and then, you know, then the insurance prices have gone up 20%, you know, and so, you know, the government sort of gets involved, you know, in the, you know, tenancy, the eviction process. So, you know, there's lots of different factors that influence, you know, the profitability or the success of the investment. And so, you know, COVID kind of, you know, allowed us to kind of see some of the weaknesses, you know, and, you know, as some of the exposed risks. And so, you know, some of us are still kind of like working through that, or, you know, there's investors out there that have, you know, and so it's really like, you know, I think educating yourself as to, you know, all of the potential, you know, benefits, pros and cons to, you know, and sometimes things, you know, you expect something to go one way, it goes the other way, you know, you don't know until, you know, so.
Pull your crystal ball out and tell us what we need to do to make a lot of money in commercial real estate.
Okay, you have to invest all your money with me.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's number one. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I would, for the REIT, I would like to be able to pick up some assets at some good pricing, and I expect that to happen. You know, I'm going to have, I would say, 36 months to do that. I think over the next, I haven't seen a lot happen. You know, I've seen some acquisitions happen where, I was surprised, they're picking up different things, or I was expecting it to kind of fall down. But, this wall of debt that's coming due is pretty significant. Mm-hmm. So, my personal strategy is to, close the capital and then, have those funds to show to be able to close at attractive pricing.
Okay. And what type of asset?
Apartments, 400 units or more in gateway cities.
Okay. That's pretty specific. That's good.
Yeah, thanks.
I like that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So
nowhere in California.
Yeah, California. Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Love California.
I'm moving.
And, I'm all about the senior family too. So, I would love to have a portfolio of senior family here.
Mm.
Just need the land.
Yeah.
Need some land ready to go.
You want it by the coast.
Oh, it doesn't really matter.
Oh,
no,
okay.
I'd love to be in different markets.
Okay.
I think lots of folks, what's the population here? It's like
Yeah.
38 million people.
I know a land guy.
Too many.
I know a land guy.
Too many.
But he's got all his land is like way out
That's
there.
it. Well,
Yeah.
it's good to have a mix,
Okay.
Old people need to be like close to hospitals, right?
Yeah. True.
Hospitals.
True.
Yeah.
Walking distance to
Applebee's.
basic necessities.
Yeah.
Like
Sizzler.
not too
Sizzler.
far.
Yeah.
Sizzler.
A couple Sizzlers nearby. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're still going after the multifamily, even though it's like sketchy right now. Because it'll
My plan is to pay cash and
I
to
see.
pick assets up at attractive pricing that are kind of like either
Gotcha.
in distress, and we're gonna,
yeah.
take them out of their misery, or just make sure that we're basically
I gotcha.
purchase assets, whether
Distressed
with
properties,
distressed
yeah.
properties. Yeah.
That's it.
Either on a single asset basis or a portfolio.
Okay.
And the intention is to hold them or flip them?
Yeah, to basically to hold them for a 10-year period.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you find that? Like, how do you do the acquisition part or the lead generation?
Yeah, a mix of different activities, having different conversations with different folks, it's part of it.
A lot of
Part of it.
brokers.
Yeah.
She can't tell you her secret
I can't
sauce.
tell you everything.
I know
It's
you
like
keep asking.
talking to a broker here and there because I always ask, and it's usually like you hear like, oh, this syndication is like they're taking it, and it's not good right now. They need to get out. And then that's when you show up. You're like, hey guys, we take you out of your misery.
Not everyone, not everyone. Normally, you wouldn't have somebody, banging down your door.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I got you. Yeah, you got to go
Yeah.
find it. So
Well-
it's like besides brokers, like what else is there? That's what all
you've been sending letters out and getting some good
Yeah, I'll send a
feedback
letter.
on that, huh?
I know, yeah.
Maybe
Send a letter.
maybe she should start sending letters out to these people.
But it's all like people. It's all like partners and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
Yeah.
who are you
LLCs,
sending
yeah.
it to? Like that's
Yeah.
I'll find out.
Yeah.
I'll find out. Don't worry. If you don't want to tell me, I'll find out.
BlackRock.
Yeah, it's BlackRock, Larry Fink.
Yeah.
Just reach out to him. I mean, there's probably like a list of people who are in default or, that kind of stuff. So,
I like referrals myself.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing better than, having a conversation and just being introduced to people.
Yeah.
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 Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so, like, as far as the REIT, you're raising money before you have any property. That's what it is. Right?
Yeah. This is part of the strategy that I can 100% get
okay.
into. But
Yeah, okay.
That's a good strategy.
Yeah, it's a great strategy, but
Have
I'm
all
just
the
like,
money there ready to go.
No, exactly. But you're just like, I'm going to find a property, so put your money in here.
Yeah. So, like, real quick,
Yeah.
when you raise the money, let's say I want to put 100,000 into your fund. Do you take it right away, or you say, okay, As soon as I have everybody's money, then I'll ask you for your money, and then we'll start the business rolling.
Yeah. So
Because
I think it depends on the legal part of it, the legal paperwork.
She doesn't want to answer unless the lawyer is present.
No, that's not it.
Okay.
That's not it. No. I mean, because I'm not going to give you $100,000.
There's like capital call. There's a capital
Right.
cause, but I guess part of my strategy is to ensure that all of the funds are collected to be able to show that. I don't intend to show like everyone's bank statements.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like
yeah.
I want it in the central place, and I think that
Yeah.
will be to the benefit of the fund.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Proof of funds.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
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 Okay.
I don't want to put I want to be the last one to put my money in.
What? What's the reasoning? I need to hear the reasoning behind that. Why?
Well, because everybody else has their money in there. I don't know how long they have had their money in there, but they're not earning anything on that money, are
Usually
they?
the fund has 36 months to close the deal, to spend the money, to invest the capital. So normally in the way funds are set up.
But
I hear what you're saying though.
No, but let's say you're starting the fund.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why would you want to be the first person putting the money in?
Yeah.
That's sitting
You're
there
assuming this
doing
is going to be
nothing?
like a super long roundup period
Yeah,
where the money's just sitting
that
there
would be
for
a
like
great
forever.
question. So how long is the raising of money period?
Yeah. So I would expect that, over the next 6 to 12 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll talk to me in 12 months.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to talk to you when it makes sense to,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
If you're interested.
Yeah.
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 Happy
But
to.
when you have everything
Good to go.
ready
Oh,
to
yeah,
go,
yeah, yeah.
you ready
'Cause
to pull the trigger,
right.
that's when you can talk to me.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
I love it.
Okay.
I believe it. Yeah, I trust that.
What are we going to do? Some videos?
Yeah, we got some videos.
We got some videos we're going to show you. Give us your 2 cents.
Just two.
Just 2.
On the videos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Double your money with multifamily.
Nice thing about multifamily real estate is that unlike single family homes where the value of a house, the value of your house is based on the comps and based on what other neighbors are selling for, in multifamily and commercial real estate in general is completely different because the value of the asset, the value of the property is not based on what the neighbors are selling for. Instead, it's based on how much income it produces. And so the nice thing about that is that you could force the property to appreciate in value by increasing its income. Just to kind of give you an example, let's say I find a property and that property is producing 100. If I take that property, clean it up, bring in better tenants, improve it, and do all of these different things to it, I might be able to take it from 100,000 to 200,000. Nice thing about multifamily.
Thoughts?
Yeah, so this strategy was kind of like the strategy I was talking about earlier. So basically buying, a property that needs some money, facelift, and then fixing it up and selling it. This guy's obviously had success in doing that. Not everyone has that same success, but yeah, like the fix and flip or, but it's an income property. Mm-hmm. It's definitely a strategy that many have had a lot of success with.
And what do you you're going to hold on to it for 10 years. What's the 10 years about?
Stabilized income for a period of time, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stable. It's just consistent cash flow.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's new assets. So that particular strategy would be older assets that need to be fixed up. I'm talking about like brand new or like very new, that don't really, they're going to have like anything that you buy or, even that you develop. There's always going to be little things, maintenance that you need to do. But like, the strategy for the rate is definitely new or newer, not older. And, that's when, there's things potentially that can come up to kind of like in the larger assets, to influence kind of, there's a larger risk component attached to that.
With older assets?
With older assets.
Right.
Yeah, because there, maybe you take down the wall and there's like, asbestos, and then you're like, oh, I had a budget of X and I need to spend X, or, maybe your contractor that you hire, maybe it was like, they quoted you and they're like, oh, we can get this done in 3 months. And then, that contractor sucks. And you're like, you did a shitty job and I'm firing you.
Right.
Right. And now I need to start over again. So, maybe I calculated like 3 months of interest or 6 months of interest on that money or my investor's money. And now it's like taking me double the amount of time to do the work. And maybe in the meantime, the insurance went up and, there's other factors that would kind of like, make it a little bit more of a bumpier road. In that particular kind of scenario.
Right.
But maybe everything goes according to plan. Like, and I'm sure that every asset or every individual acquisition, there's things that maybe weren't planning on, that happen. And so, a lot of times it's, you do your due diligence, but, even then, there's going to be things that come up that, you need to address.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
What else we got?
One of the best commercial real estate investments. Oh, the volume isn't working again. Where's my mouse? Sorry. Oh, still nothing.
Maybe a different video, or is it?
Yeah, it's just not working.
I can read the words and I can like guess what it says. But you have to start again because I was like kind of only half doing it. Okay.
Let me restart it.
I saw industrial.
Okay, the great thing about industrial, especially the storage of, that's what we're talking about, is it doesn't need to be particularly well located because people don't go there every day for work. They might go to a storage facility 3 times when they get to put their stuff 5 or 8 times. I'm losing steam. Might go every second month just to add something, their pile of junk that they're keeping, or take something away, or as the case may be, you can't have it 100 miles from anywhere, but it doesn't need to have really great access. So you can put storage facilities in places that are not suitable for retail outlets or a gas station or a warehouse.
So he's saying storage units are the best.
Yeah. People, some people like storage. I think industrial overall is a popular asset class, especially like over the last number of years, just because it's kind of like, less right. Overall kind of like, I don't know if maintenance is the right word, but less overall to kind of like to manage, to take care of. There's less to, worry about. Storage specifically, there's a smaller amount of investors that like to invest into storage. So I think that that's, an asset class that there would be less competition in, for those parties that, do like to invest into storage. I personally have 2 storage units on the go. It's a headache and a half, I'm not invested into the storage building. I just invest into the storage units. They are well located, I'm not driving an hour out of the city to go to my storage unit.
Right.
I don't think a lot of people would, I probably don't agree with that statement because who's going to want to pay like your movers an hour out of the way to like go in the middle of nowhere to put your stuff in storage. Right. Yeah. I don't really think that part of it is 100% what I agree with.
Okay.
But what did I think this was on church. It was like a sermon at church a couple of weeks ago and they were talking about storage and they were saying, I forget the stat. It was like 1 in 3 people or 2 in 3 people have a storage unit.
Yeah.
Right. So it's, there's a significant amount of people that have storage, so
you don't even know what's in there.
Well, some people know what's in there. Yeah. Not like everything, the bigger thing.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it in a while, there's going to be lots in there that you haven't seen.
Armoire that you couldn't get rid of. It's always what it is.
We call ours a music studio.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's got all my gear in there. It's a storage unit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
But in terms of like one last comment, in terms of like income, it's a little bit more stabilized, I would presume. I haven't spent a lot of time in this space, but I would assume, it's kind of like set it and forget it. You know what you're getting paid. You know, there's not a lot of fluctuations.
Right.
So in terms of like investment, I would, feel like stable for the most part. Yeah. That income's going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense. Okay. Nice. Have you done any like development with the storage units?
None.
Okay.
No. But I do like the newer storage units. Like
She just stores stuff.
I just pay them money every month.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, oh my God, again. I'm like, what am I doing?
That's great.
Can someone just go there and just deal with all this?
We got a couple questions.
Okay.
Okay. First question is, I've been hearing a lot of capital calls have been coming down in multifamily. How can future syndications prevent this from happening?
Yeah. So, the capital calls would be based on essentially what you agreed to in your original documents when you're making your commitments. If you don't like being part of a syndication, there's like a number of different factors there, right? If you're in a syndication, you obviously agreed to that when you made that commitment to the syndication. So maybe that is or is not the right investment for you. Maybe a partnership would be better. Maybe a joint venture would be better. Maybe your strategy needs to change, or maybe it's really based on the market itself, and then, maybe as part of that, the more parties that are involved in a particular asset, the less likely that all of the parties are going to agree on the strategy, right? Mm-hmm. So, or where the market's going, right? So let's say I believe the market's going to get stronger, right? But let's say someone else, that's also invested thinks the market's going to get weaker. Well, obviously we don't agree. We disagree. So we're going to move differently based on what we believe. Right. So if you're part of it, like right now, as a syndication, and let's say the person that's driving the bus believes the market's going to get better. We're holding on. We don't want to sell this asset because, essentially we don't want to show a loss to our investors because that'll ruin our next acquisition because we're,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you just kind of have to pay attention to kind of the different factors that are, driving that, the different parties, right? Kind of step back for a second and say, and are they making the best decision for me and my investment? Right? Because not everyone's going to be in a different position. Everyone's going to have a different opinion, right?
Oh, yeah.
Do I believe interest rates are going to go up? Do I believe interest rates are going to go down? And what is my opinion based on what I believe? Right? And how am I going to move based on what I believe? So in terms of capital calls, some people might have the liquidity to make those capital calls. Some people might not have the liquidity. And then there's sometimes in those documents, there's fines. If, there's different kind of in that legal jargon that influence that. So maybe, maybe there's sidecar, there's different kind of legal things that you can do when you're originally making your investment to kind of move around or, to essentially make accommodations for that type of thing,
Gotcha.
or, and I'm not a lawyer, so this is not legal advice.
Yeah. I gotcha. Yeah.
But just in terms of margin calls, if the market's going down, there's just margin calls. I would be, if it was me and you're asking me my opinion, which you may or not be, but, I would be tempted to consider, selling the asset, but, I haven't actually seen a specific example or the circumstances or the investment amount. So, there's a lot of missing information. So
I gotcha. Yeah. It's a big question to answer specifically. Yeah. But you're right. Yeah. You got to look at what you're signing up for, I guess, if you're joining the
You
fund.
need a consultant to look at what you're looking at.
A consultant. She's like, this is crap.
Yes.
Don't do it.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to look at you have to consider all the risks and make sure when you're signing off that you actually understand what they are or what you're committing to.
Yeah.
And how you feel today or what you're committed to today may not be what you want to be committed to, down the road. True. Right? So in your head you have to kind of understand yourself as an investor, what your tolerance is.
Yeah.
And then, there's some, I met with a portfolio manager for a family office about a month ago. And so in all of her all of her agreements with her family offices. She has like a clause in all of her agreements that allows her to pivot, because that pivot or business plan 1, 2, 3, to account for different factors.
Nice.
Which is nice, because you can't account for everything. Like, who knew we were going to have a global health crisis?
Yeah.
No one could have predicted that. Well, one person could,
Yeah.
a few people, but that's, no one saw that. No one saw that coming, really,
Yeah.
So,
no, I gotcha. Yeah, that's pretty smart. Have like a pivot plan in there.
Yeah,
because
I
sometimes
love
you
that.
You got to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, how can like people reach out to you if they, want to join the REIT or they want to get consulting?
Sure. Yeah. I guess I'm on LinkedIn. So my name is Anna Murphy, and my LinkedIn profile is under my name and PIR Commercial. My phone number is 747-219-8119. And my email is pir.investment.management@gmail.com.
Heck yeah. Well, there you go, folks. If you want to be a part of this, up and coming REIT.
Yeah, I'd love to connect. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us. That was a lot of fun, and we definitely learned a lot.
Yes, thank you for having
we'll
me.
make sure to share your information and make sure people reach out to you. And, we'd love to have you back sometime.
Cool.
Once you
Sounds
get
good.
further down the road with that.
Love it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Right on, you guys. We'll be back here next week. And then we'll have the announcement of our speaker by then.
Hopefully.
Yep, hopefully. So make sure you guys share this podcast, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much.
See you later. If you want some more advice on real estate investing, reach out to us one-on-one.